You ever find yourself just standing on a street corner watching cars go by and trying to name all the different types? It's way harder than you'd think, right? The whole world of vehicle classification is this surprisingly tangled web of terms and, let's be honest, marketing buzzwords that can really make your head spin. But don't worry, today we're going to unravel all of it. Exactly. I mean, is a four-door car with a swoopy, sloping roof a sedan or a coupe? And what is the actual difference between a crossover and an SUV? These are the kinds of questions we're going to get to the bottom of. By the time we're done here, you'll be able to spot and classify pretty much any vehicle you see, no sweat. So here's the game plan. First up, we're going to look at how we classify cars just by their shape, the stuff you can see. Then we'll peek under the hood, at the engineering that really defines them. After that, we'll explore how a car's job can change its category, how getting older creates new ones, and finally, we'll take a look at what the future might hold for all this. All right, let's kick things off with the most intuitive way to do this, body style. This is all about the vehicle's silhouette, its shape, and all the features you can spot just from the outside. First up, the absolute classic, the sedan. When most of us just think of a car, this is probably what pops into our heads. The key here is what's called the three-box design. You can clearly see three distinct sections: the engine box, the passenger box, and the trunk box. And here's a fun fact for you. The name comes from the sedan chair, which was basically a personal human-powered carriage back in the 1600s. Now for its sportier cousin, the coupe. Traditionally, a coupe means two doors, a fixed roof, and that signature sloping rear roofline. And just like the sedan, the name has its roots in old-school carriages. It comes from the French verb couper, which means to cut. The idea was that the original horse-drawn coupe was like a bigger carriage, but with the rear-facing seats essentially cut off to make it smaller and more stylish. So when you put them side by side, the fundamental difference is pretty clear. Sedans are generally all about practicality, passenger space, four doors. Coupes, on the other hand, usually ditch two doors to focus on performance and style, with that aggressive sloping roof. But as we're about to see, car companies absolutely love to blur these lines. Okay, we can't talk about body styles without talking about the undisputed king of the modern road, the SUV. And check out this number. In 2021, SUVs made up a whopping 45% of all new vehicle sales across the globe. It's just their mix of practicality, that high seating position, and rugged styling has totally taken over the market. And this brings us to a place where a lot of people get confused. What really separates an SUV from a station wagon? Well, it all comes down to the stance. SUVs sit higher off the ground, they have more ground clearance, which gives them that rugged, ready-for-anything vibe. A station wagon, though, is basically just a sedan where the roofline has been stretched all the way to the back. It keeps that lower, more car-like profile. Of course, just when you think you have the rules figured out, the marketing departments get involved. And this quote from Donut Media just nails it. A while back, car makers started selling four-door coupes, which, let's be real, are sedans with a coupe-like roofline. It just proves that these definitions are way more flexible than you'd think. Okay, so we've judged the book by its cover. Now it's time to look under the skin, at the engineering that really defines a vehicle. Let's start with its skeleton. And that skeleton is called the chassis. You can think of it as the car's backbone. It's the foundational frame that literally everything else is built on top of. The engine, the suspension, the body, the whole shebang. It is absolutely crucial for the vehicle's strength and how it feels on the road. Now, a chassis is not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. There are three main types. You have the conventional, or body-on-frame, which is what you'll find in big trucks and some SUVs. It's super tough. Then there's the non-conventional, or unibody, where the frame and the body are one single integrated piece. That's what most modern cars use because it's lighter and more rigid. And then we have modular platforms, which are like a flexible set of building blocks that can be used for lots of different models. This last one is becoming a total game changer for electric vehicles. And this chart really shows you how dominant these types are. I mean, look at that. In 2023, the unibody chassis market was worth nearly $50 billion. But the really interesting part? That modular segment, yeah, it's smaller, but it's by far the fastest growing piece of the pie, all thanks to the EV boom. It's really the future of how cars are made. So we've covered the skeleton. Now let's talk about the heart of the vehicle, the thing that actually makes it go, the propulsion system. This is another major way we classify cars, and it's become a whole spectrum.
You start with the good old internal combustion engine vehicle, or ICEV, your standard gas or diesel car. Then you step up to hybrids, or HEVs, which have a gas engine and a battery, but you can't plug them in. After that come plug-in hybrids, or PHEVs. And then you get into the fully electric world. Battery electric vehicles, or BEVs, and finally, fuel cell electric vehicles, or FCEVs, which actually run on hydrogen.
All right, so beyond how a car looks or what powers it, we also classify vehicles by what they're built to do. At the end of the day, a vehicle is a tool, and you need the right tool for the job. Take commercial trucks, for example. They're not really classified by looks, but by their function, specifically by how much weight they can carry. And this classification system goes all the way from extra light-duty trucks for your local package deliveries up to these massive, extra heavy-duty monsters used in mining that are so big they're not even allowed on public roads. And it's not just car fans or the auto industry that classify vehicles. Governments have their own official systems, too. And this is actually super important for planning things like how wide to build roads, how to manage traffic, and for setting safety regulations. For instance, the U.S. Federal Highway Administration actually has a system with 13 different classes. But here's a simplified look at how it works. You can see they put motorcycles in Class 1, passenger cars in Class 2, and buses over in Class 4. It's a really practical way for them to organize the huge variety of vehicles out there. Okay, so far we've looked at how cars are classified when they're new. But there's another powerful force at play here: time. The passing of years and a little human creativity can add whole new layers to how we categorize cars. You hear the words classic, vintage, and antique thrown around all the time, right? Well, they actually have pretty specific meanings. A car generally becomes a classic once it's 20 years old. At 25 years, it levels up to vintage, and once it passes that 45-year milestone, it officially becomes an antique. And what happens when people start tweaking these older cars? Well, you get even more categories. A street rod, also known as a hot rod, is usually a car from before 1949 that's been seriously modified for pure speed and performance. A resto mod, on the other hand, is a classic or vintage car that's been restored to look original on the outside, but it's hiding modern goodies like air conditioning, GPS, or way better brakes. It's kind of the best of both worlds. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? Well, it's that classifying a vehicle isn't about finding one single correct label. It's about looking at it through all these different lenses: its body style, its chassis, its engine, its purpose, and yeah, even its age. A single car can be a sedan with a unibody chassis powered by a plug-in hybrid system, and eventually, it'll become a classic. And that brings us to the future. As cars keep evolving into these self-driving, connected platforms on wheels, you have to wonder, how are our classifications going to change? Are we going to start sorting them by their software version, or maybe by their main purpose? Is it a mobile office, or is it a rolling entertainment pod? It's a pretty fascinating question, and it shows that the story of the automobile is far from over. Thanks for joining me.